Vampires in the town. True and spooky story. In a small, quiet town, a young woman named Christ finds herself barely holding things together. Recently evicted from her job due to pregnancy complications and now raising her newborn baby girl alone, she is in urgent need of employment. Everything changes when, while perusing a local newspaper, she discovers a job listing for a nearby company. Desperate, she decides to apply. As Christ steps into the building for her interview, a strange chill envelops her, piercing the warm summer air as though she has stepped into winter. She struggles to shake off the uneasy feeling as the air seems charged with a strange energy. People stare at her as though they can sense something about her. A scent, perhaps? Fresh, young, blood. Despite her nerves, Christ focuses and enters the office. The room appears ordinary, but as the company's owner steps in, her instincts scream otherwise. His piercing yellowish eyes are hypnotic, and though not conventionally handsome, his magnetic presence consumes her thoughts. Throughout the interview, a voice deep within her whispers one warning: don't come back. When the owner promises to notify her by phone about the outcome, Christ leaves the building, instantly noticing the air feels lighter, as if she'd been released from an unsettling realm. She resolves to think it through, still troubled by the events she just experienced. That evening, the phone rings. It's the company owner offering her the job, decent hours, good pay, and located close to home. Christ hesitates and says she'll need some time. Conflicted, she calls her mother for advice. Without revealing the eerie details of her encounter, Christ explains the basics of the offer. Her mother immediately cautions her, her sixth sense chiming in. Do not take this job. Something isn't right. Frustrated but still unsure, Christ dismisses her mother's advice for practicality's sake. They argue about it briefly until her mother reminds her that the right job, possibly the outcome of her other interview, will come through. That night, Krista's subconscious unravels. In her dream, she finds herself entering the same office building. But this time, a blood trail leads her deeper inside. She follows it into the company owner's office, where she sees him with glinting fangs, draining her lifeblood. Startled awake, she is drenched in sweat. The dream feels less like a nightmare and more like a warning. The next day, Christ musters the courage to call. Declining the job offer, she apologizes earnestly to the owner. However, he tries to persuade her, promising to double her salary. Even as her heart races and goosebumps rise on her skin, she resists. Eventually, he relents, but the ominous feeling in her chest tightens. He knows, she thinks. He knows exactly what I suspect. Weeks pass, and Christ begins a job as a store clerk. Trying to settle into her new routine, she feels a semblance of normalcy until the day the owner walks into the store. He smiles at her, and while his demeanor remains calm, a chilling edge in his presence rattles her. "Why are you here?" Krista blurts out. "Business," he replies casually. "Just a regular order." Though nothing about his small talk is necessarily off, she can't shake the feeling that he is always watching. The vampire owner's presence continues to haunt Christ. Her dreams are plagued by grotesque imagery, shadows with fangs, dripping red trails, a suffocating feeling of helplessness. Each encounter in real life leaves her more confused and vulnerable. Despite taking on new roles, be it as a school employee or a fireplace store manager, the man seems to track her down, reappearing often enough to drain her resolve. Each time, his tone is cordial yet menacing, offering her better salaries, flexible hours, and cryptic promises. Each time, she says no, but with each refusal, her fear escalates. Confiding in her best friend, Betha, Christ recounts her encounters with the man. Betha listens intently before cautiously revealing a sinister theory. That man, he's not normal. His family has always been known in whispers. Immortals, they say. Vampires. Chills run down Christie's spine. Her suspicions grow heavier. If this is true, why hasn't he simply attacked her? What does he want with her? A year passes, during which Christ loses her mother, endures turbulent times with her husband, and tries to maintain some semblance of stability for her child. At her mother's funeral, as rain pours down in heavy sheets, someone places an umbrella over her. She turns to see him. His polite act is terrifying. "Stay strong, Christ," he whispers before vanishing into the mist. Christ eventually becomes a police officer, seeking purpose in protecting others. One fateful night, during an investigation, she and her partner revisit the vampire owner's haunting building. Her partner, seemingly knowing more than he lets on, warns, "Stay away from him. He's dangerous, Christ. Dangerous in ways you can't imagine." In her chest, she no longer feels fear, but resolve. Over time, Christ learns to navigate the shadows surrounding the owner, choosing her paths carefully. While the vampire's fixation on her seems persistent, she holds firm, reminding herself that some darknesses are best left uninvited. Even as Christ attempts to build a safer life for her daughter, she knows the owner and his strange family might never disappear from her path completely. His offers, his presence, they linger like ghosts in the corners of her mind. The questions remain. What does he want? Why her? As Christ moves forward, haunted but resilient, she knows one thing for certain. She'll never let her guard down. Some monsters are more persistent than the darkness itself.